Disney is now warning it might stop film production in Georgia if that state's restrictive abortion ban is enforced. Disney CEO Bob Iger told Reuters it would be, quote, very difficult to keep filming in the state because many people will not want to work there. It's just one of several companies, including Netflix, to announce a potential boycott of the state due to the new law. Joining me now, Brian Collins, chairman and founder of the brand and design agency Collins. You may not know about it, but almost everything you buy or you have seen or you have interacted with this guy has had something to do with. So this becomes a branding question because you and I have had this discussion when Dick's Sporting Goods decided to not sell certain guns to certain people. It came up during North Carolina's transgender bathrooms. It came up during Indiana and gay marriage. Tell me about the decision by companies to say we're getting involved in a political argument on which the country is polarized.
Yeah, well, it's happening more and more. You know, I was coming up here today. I hopped in the cab, and the cab driver asked me where I was going. I'm going up to NBC. I'm at MSNBC. I'm going to be on the air talking about this. What are you talking about? Well, I'm talking about what's going on in Georgia. And he goes, "Oh, Netflix just pulled out." And so what's happening is this conversation has moved from about politics to literally it's a populist conversation. And so what's happening is companies like Disney and Netflix are acting out of their sense of purpose. Brands can no longer survive on just making claims or an image or a promise. They actually have to walk their talk. They have to behave. And so in making these kinds of decisions and making these kind of statements, Disney and Netflix are acting out of their
Does it hurt them or help them? Because we know sometimes it gives them a hit in the stock because some people don't like it. But Nike with Colin Kaepernick, I mean, does this over time become part of the fabric of a company? And is it about consumers or
it's about a number of things.
Employees?
It's about a number of things. Generally, what's going to start to happen is consumers are going to ask, what's your point of view? And those brands that are going to try to duck out or are going to sit in the sidelines, they're not going to participate in the conversation. Nike, brands like Chobani, Patagonia, even Netflix and Disney have agreed to engage in the conversation. If you sit it out, that's a decision too. But consumers are no longer willing to have you sit stuff out. They really want to know, consumers, it used to be, I bought what you made. Over the course of the last...
And if as long as I liked it, and as long as it was made well, you're good.
And it was good, and I liked it, it's fine. Now consumers want to know, over the last few years, they've been saying, why do you make it? What's the purpose behind your company? And how does it affect your employees, and how does it affect the environment? Now what's happening is consumers want to know not just what you're buying and why you're making it. They want to know who, what, where, when, why, and how. And this is a where question. Where do you make these films?
And so to the extent that this may be the right thing to do for Disney, for Netflix, for all these companies that have done it, does it move the needle on the laws? Does it change civil society?
It has. And so, because what's starting to happen is these brands are no longer just acting on behalf of their consumers or their employees or their stockholders or the environment. Now they have to behave as members of civil society. They're being asking questions, what kind of future?
Right. Oh, actually, you mentioned Patagonia. They have taken a really strong stand on the environment and things like that. And some say it makes a difference and people pay up for their products.
They will absolutely pay up for their products, but they're also in positions to influence these decisions. You know, in some of these companies, when they moved to make decisions that were in alignment with their values, like the way that Nike did. The benefit to them was, did it help shape public policy? Yes, I think it did. But more importantly is it helped the trajectory of their brand because they were acting out of their own sense of purpose. What Nike did was absolutely authentic to them. I think what Disney is doing and what Netflix is doing is authentic to them. And I think brands increasingly are going to be asked to come down on one of these sides. Those who are going to stick in the middle I think they're in for trouble.
Hey, MSNBC fans, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down there and click on any of the videos here to watch the latest interviews and highlights. You can get more MSNBC for free every day with our newsletters. Just visit msnbc.com/newsletters to sign up now.